Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird, true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 765, written by ihavebutterfliess. Welcome to Jurassic Park. My wife and I frequently go to a nearby national wildlife refuge where we walk our dogs. As we were driving, we saw an animal run across the road about 10 feet in front of us. We were going pretty slow because it's common to see wildlife along the road. I expected it to be a bird as there are pheasants and grouse in the area. But when I looked at its head, it didn't have a beak. It was smooth and rounded at the mouth. I looked over its body, but didn't see any feathers. I looked at its tail because that would be a dead giveaway, but there were no feathers and the tail tapered to the tip. The tail was about as long as the rest of its body, and it ran with its head in line with its tail. I did not see any indication of wings along its body. It then ran into some tall grass. I didn't say anything because I had to have seen that wrong, right? But then, my wife said something along the lines of, "Did you see what I think I just saw?" And I responded, "Was that a small dinosaur?" We described it back and forth to each other. We both agreed it was a darkish brown color. She immediately noticed a lack of feathers, but she also said that she saw no wings and that it had little arms bent in front of its body. It was maybe 2 feet long. We both are knowledgeable when it comes to wild animals and species identification, as it's a hobby of ours and one of the reasons we frequent this refuge. I've had an intense interest in animals ever since I was a small child. I cannot explain what we saw. Every time we drive in that spot, I remember vividly what I saw. We both agree if the other hadn't been there, we would have thought we were going insane. I think to some degree I must have, because there is no logical explanation I can come up with. I looked at so many photos of various birds and lizard species, and there's just no way this wasn't anything like that. I have tried to convince myself I saw something else, but there is nothing that comes close enough. If anyone has had a similar experience, I'd love to know. The only thing we can come up with is that there was a glitch in the timeline, and I guess that somehow a species of dinosaur survived mass extinction and has remained unchanged and undetected until now, which sounds even more unlikely than a glitch. Yes, I am aware that it's likely most, particularly the small type, of dinosaurs had feathers. But that isn't what I saw, and I'm not going to give an inaccurate report to make it sound more believable. I was aware of the dinosaur feather situation well before I saw this creature. Doesn't change what we saw. I didn't post this looking to solve the answer of what I saw. I don't think there is any explanation we can get except maybe once we die, if you believe in that sort of thing. This was at least 2 years ago. Case notes for file 765. Welcome to Jurassic Park. So here's the thing, if we're talking about some sort of time anomaly or perception of time, seeing into the future would be very difficult because it's not yet written. There are so many possible branching paths, and that's how free will can even exist at all, is that the choices aren't made, the dominoes haven't fallen in the order that they will eventually, at least for this universe. However, seeing in the past, that's already written in stone. It literally is the past, it already happened. So I could see that this was some sort of anomaly where your perception of this location of the planet. One other quick thing to mention about this though. If we're talking about the location of the planet, if you're seeing in the past of that area, technically it would be empty space because the planet is not occupying the exact coordinates in space-time from way back when it was the dinosaur era. Because not only is the planet rotating around or orbiting around the sun is orbiting around the galaxy, the center of the galaxy, and the galaxy is moving as well towards Andromeda. So the actual space-time coordinates would be vastly different. We're billions of kilometers, trillions actually, of kilometers away from where the dinosaurs would have been. So if you were simply looking back in time, you would have seen nothing. It would just be space. So the fact that you saw, if this is what happened, if you saw back in time temporarily, somehow that perception was tethered to the planet as it was back then, in those space-time coordinates. It's like if you had a time machine and you went back in time, it would have to be going back in time in the spatial sense as well. Because if not, you just go back in time and the planet would zip around. You'd have to still be tethered to it. Kinda hard to explain. Hopefully I'm doing a good job, but it makes it more unlikely that it's some sort of time perception glitch. Maybe it is some weird animal that no one's discovered yet. I mean, the planet is incredibly large. I don't know if people realize how big Earth is. So the idea that we've discovered all species of animal is ridiculous. There's probably some that we don't know about, and maybe one that's related to dinosaurs from the past. Indeed, they probably did have feathers, so the fact this one didn't does lean more towards the idea that it's not a dinosaur exactly, maybe some distant relative that wasn't discovered yet. Maybe you're the first to discover it. That's kinda cool. Case file number 766, written by Endlessly Both, Unfathomable Digits. I was on site alone at one of my company's new locations. As of now, it's empty and almost done with renovation. I was getting some measurements to make a scale layout drawing. The contractor and the business owner and I had a group message going that morning concerning some site information. I had seen the text but just glanced and didn't respond until after getting my kid off to school. When I had time, I reopened the group message. I saw I had somehow texted them earlier. It was a local phone number. I thought I had somehow pasted it because I had just copied a phone number from a message the night before, apologized to the group for the random accidental text, and moved on. Until the contractor called me a little later. He immediately was like, "Where did you get that phone number?" I said, I'm not even sure. I think I accidentally pasted it," and explained copying the number the night before. He sounded weirdly spooked and then said, "That's my dad's phone number." He recited it by memory. I've never met his dad, never even thought about the dude. The number isn't in my contacts, and isn't in any of my phone's messages. And isn't in my phone at all, other than that random unexplained text to the group that I sent that morning. He said his dad is super guarded with his cell phone number, so it is even stranger that I somehow sent that. We can't figure it out at all. It hurts my brain. How? Also, the number I had sent them was indeed not the same number I had copied from my friend the night before. My friend that I grew up with and I were chatting in Instagram messages, and she sent me her mom's cell phone number so I could contact her for something the next day. The contractor's dad's number and my old friend's mom's number are not even similar. I just thought in the moment when I saw that I had sent that number, that it must be where it was from, but it wasn't. Case notes for file 766. The Unfathomable Digits. Another small but inexplicable glitch. It's not a tech glitch, because you didn't copy the number. It wasn't somehow you copied this person's father's number, and then it was accidentally transmitted somehow through a phone glitch. No, it wasn't even the number you copied the night before. Although it is weird that it happened the day after you copied a number. I'm presuming that you don't copy numbers often. I don't. Although apparently just a coincidence in that regard. Usually there's some sort of logical chain as to why it would happen, like if it's some entity trying to tell you a message or something, send a message. In this case, their father doesn't appear to have been in any trouble. There's no reason for you to send that number. It didn't accomplish anything besides confuse everyone. Yeah, this is one of those times where I'm just stumped. It's just a pure glitch and I have no idea what the hell is going on with this. That's kinda cool, but so weird, isn't it? Bonus file, written by MyNameIsntMaisie. B is for Barbara. Just before my oldest daughter turned 3, she finally found her voice. Let's just say it was a big deal because up until then, she'd been completely non-verbal. Then, almost overnight, our girl was talking. Okay came first, then no, followed by mama and dada. It was nothing short of a miracle for us. She hadn't been speaking very long at all, weeks at most, when I was giving her a bath one night. The bubbly water was filled with various toys, colorful pipes and jellyfish, foam letters and ducks. For as long as I live, I'll never forget how my daughter glanced at 2 foam letters stuck to the bathtub wall. She pointed at each in turn and said aloud very clearly, B for Barbara, D for Deborah. I froze. The hairs on the back of my neck rose. Those weren't names I'd ever mentioned. There were no great-aunt Barbaras or Deborahs in the family. And all this was coming from a girl who'd only just mastered simple words like more and please. Fast forward a few more months and my now chatterbox girl started giving me snippets about this woman, Barbara, who had evidently once meant a great deal to her. Barbara went to London after she got married. She lives in a big house. Barbara and I wrote each other letters. Barbara loves the ocean. Her favorite color is blue. Barbara loves swimming and is a good swimmer. Deborah taught her how to swim. And then there'd often be tears because she just misses Barbara so damn much. I also learned that Deborah was the oldest, then Jane, I think, then my daughter, then Barbara, and her other mother was named Maisie. Finally, one January day when she was 4.5 years old, my daughter came to me, absolutely distraught, crying because she was losing her memories of Barbara. I promised her I'd treasure them for her, that I'd remind her of them one day when she was older. It was a heartbreaking scene, the two of us holding each other, my daughter mourning a woman she'd once loved in another time, another place. She told me she was keeping one a memory, a very special one, and that she was going to bury it deep down in her heart forever. The strangest thing is that only a day or two after I'd conceived my daughter, an older woman I'd never met, named Barbara, had sent me a Facebook friend request. I wish I hadn't declined her request so quickly. It might well have been nothing, but now I'm just not so sure. If anyone knows a Barbara that meets this description, please do feel free to let me know. Case notes for the bonus file. B is for Barbara. So is this memories from a past life? Maybe some sort of sign of reincarnation as a real manifestation in reality? And how would this mesh or blend with quantum immortality, I wonder? So if there's reincarnation, it's conceivable that at the very end of everything, where there are no other copies in any other universes that have survived, you're the last one and then you die. What happens then? Do you awake in the simulation? Is there now heaven? You go to see God? Or is there a total reset? Your sentience, your soul, is then reset, your memories wiped, mostly, and then you reincarnate as another human being. Presumably just humans, maybe as animals too, hopefully just humans though, or other advanced species. I wouldn't really want to be an ant or something. That would be kind of boring. So you reincarnate after every single copy of yourself is gone, and now you're here. And perhaps some souls, maybe the older they are, the more these past memories are difficult to wipe in whatever process is going on there. In fact, this could be sort of like, okay, if this is a simulation, the last copy of you dies, and then you awake in the real world where the simulation is running. Maybe this is just some game. Maybe this is like a afternoon VR session, hyper advanced VR session in an arcade. And we think it's some super serious thing, but it's like one afternoon in the real world. Some Inner Light vibes right there. So you awake in the real world, and then you choose, okay, I'm gonna go again. You know, here's $20, let's go again. This time I'm going to come back as a girl and, try this new thing. But every time you do it, it gets progressively more difficult to block out the memories of past simulations. Maybe the tech we use is not quite advanced enough for memory suppression there. And so then you get these past memories of the fake life, the simulation life, that are bleeding through. And maybe at a young age it's even more potent. As you say, your daughter was losing grip on these memories and wanted to hold on to them.